Especially some state that you live in has been in the media for the last week.
Yeah. It's like there's.
Remember, we are streaming, are recording right now.
It's okay. We're not getting any details.
No, well, I don't mind saying that this is not the way we want Pennsylvania to be known. I mean, but it's the way it's going.
I want to know why there's a microphone behind you.
Wait.
Oh, his Blue Yeti.
I'm being silly. It's all right. Don't worry about it.
No, it's a legitimate question. I mean, but it sounds a little crazy. This is my podcasting side of the world. That's my office work side of the world.
Oh, cool. Nice.
And so I don't worry about having the good camera over there as much, but I do need a decent mic.
Okay.
So that's just
it's
9
a.m. and welcome to today is November the 7th. And welcome to the Chicago Apple Users Group. My name is George Brooks. I'm one of the directors. We want to welcome you to our Zoominar or webinar or our online meeting as we're meeting in this virtual space of COVID. Today we have joining us Dave Ginsburg, our president, to talk about the new Apple One bundle and iOS and service updates. Also, we have from Mac Voices coming all the way from Pennsylvania. We have Chuck Joyner from Mac Voices talking about the holiday seasons. Yes, it's that time of the year. Let me tell you a little bit about who we are. We are the Suburban Apple Users Group, and we are located online at myscau.org. Okay, I'm a little bit rusty this morning. We're a group of over 100 Apple users in the Chicagoland area who regularly exchange best practices, ideas, and offer each other technical tips. We share technology on upcoming changes and things that, well, people just want a little bit more clarity about. We're set, and also how to save money on technology and sharing our passion for Apple devices. Please join us online at myscau.org. Also, today we want to honor our veterans for our upcoming Veterans Day. As you see my background here, I'm a veteran, and we have all veterans also on our call here. On our Zoom. Right now, I want to take the time to introduce our president, Dave Ginsburg. He has over 20 years of experience in IT. He is a very knowledgeable individual dealing with PCs as well as Mac and mobile devices in his profession. He has become a subject matter expert on everything iOS. He also has his own podcast, In Touch with iOS, and he also appears regularly for Mac Eyes Only. And he also appears on Chuck's podcast quite often on Mac Voices. So, by the way, I want to make sure that everybody, Dave didn't know I was going to do this, so I'm going to do it now. Everybody wish Dave an upcoming birthday on November the 10th. His birthday is this coming Wednesday, okay? By the way, he will be
Tuesday.
Tuesday. He'll be 22, okay?
Yeah. and
Apple over to Dave.
And Apple decided to have their One More Thing event on the same day. So
happy birthday, Dave.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's the one more thing.
The one more thing that maybe a Silicon Mac. So
can't believe you made it this far.
If anybody didn't notice, we did change a little bit of the format here. We're trying something a little different. We're actually using the actual standard Zoom meeting instead of the webinar format. So all I ask is everybody mute their mics so we don't have any background noise during the meeting. I'll make that announcement before Chuck presents as well. If you have any questions, please put your questions in the chat. We have both Davis and George moderating during this time. So if you have any questions, you're going to put your questions in the chat, and then one of us will call upon you to unmute your mic and then be able to tell us, ask your question. So with that, let me go ahead and get started here. I'm actually going to do a presentation here on the Apple bundle, which has been getting a lot of press as of late. So let me share my screen here, and do this. Give me a moment. Everybody can tell me you can see that. Or George or Davis, if you could confirm that you could see it.
Yes, we can see it.
All right, so now I went full screen here. Okay. All right. So the Apple One bundle. So I was pretty excited to hear about this when they announced this back in June, July of earlier this year, that they were going to bundle all of these services in one place. So this actually all has to do with 6 different services that are out there currently with Apple. You have Apple Music, you have Apple TV Plus, you have Apple Arcade, you have iCloud, you have Apple News Plus, and then you have the upcoming Apple Fitness Plus. So you've got 6 great, robust services that are out there right now that we're gonna that we all like to consume a lot of this great information, whether it be music, whether it be TV or movies, playing games. Of course, we use iCloud all the time, and the News Plus is starting to get better and better. And then the Fitness Plus, which we'll talk about briefly here as well, as far as part of the bundle goes. So what I did with here is I broke this down. I'm just going to go and spend some time. There's a lot of information here on this one slide, but I want to just go through it and go through each of the plans and what's available. So you start with the individual plan. The individual plan is going to be at $14.95 a month. Now, if you look below here, you'll see that I have all these other broken down prices here, and this is actually breaking down what it would cost if you were to get each of these individually. And I'm gonna have to do a mute to George. Sorry. So this is the breakdown as far as the differences, and I've got them broken down by each plan. So starting with Apple Music, you pay $9.99 a month, and then if you go and you go from there, you go to the Apple TV Plus, which of course no one has paid for as of yet, but it is $4.99 a month when it is going to start being charged. Then you have the Apple Arcade, which is at $4.99. So this individual plan includes the 50 gigabytes of storage for iCloud, which is more than it's probably sufficient for most people, unless you have a lot of photos that you want to upload through iCloud. So the total cost of this, if you were to add these all up together, is over $20, so $20.96. So the one plan is at $14.95. So you're going to save about $6.01 a month. This is great for one person, individual person. You don't have a lot, and you're good. But we all have families. We want to be able to share things. So I think many of us have had the family plan. So if you move over to the family plan, which is this one here, this is at $19.95 a month. And you are going to save up $8 over the costs. And so I broke down the difference in the costs of the other services just a moment ago there. But this includes the 200 gigabyte iCloud storage plan, which is at $2.99 a month. And add those up, the individual costs is at $27.96. So you're saving about a little over $8. So I think that's probably a good sweet spot for most people. But if you want to go even further, you want to go over to the Premier plan. The Premier plan is at $29.95 a month, and you're going to save over $25 if you go through all these services, which includes music, TV Plus, Arcade. The iCloud plan will now move you up to the 2 terabyte plan, and then you're going to get News Plus, which is, as we've talked about News Plus many times before. News Plus is the service that gives you magazines and news and newspapers, all kinds of great news information on there. And then you're going to have the Fitness Plus app, which isn't currently available at the moment. It's going to be it's supposed to be released later this year, and that's going to be a fitness based apps, being able to, similar to like a Peloton. If anybody has a Peloton bike and you're doing those, you have a subscription for that. You're riding your bike and doing exercises and all kinds of great things. It's going to have all kinds of great interactive videos. So if you break all that down and that cost, that's going to save you over $25 a month for all these services. So what happens? Where do you decide? Are these bundles going to be good for you? Well, it's really going to be dependent on what you want. Some of these services you may not use very often. I'm not much of a gamer, so you may not like Arcade. You may not want to be able to watch TV Plus, but Apple is really doing a great job with TV and TV Plus, adding a lot of great new content. Ted Lasso is one of my favorite shows, and I could not go without watching that show. It's one of my favorites. And then they've had some great movies. They got the morning show is going to be coming back soon. That's their show as well. So there's got a lot of great content. So you probably might like TV. iCloud, I think, is always important to all of us. So I think iCloud is going to be good. So Apple's kind of giving everybody a little bit of a flavor between those 3 different differences as far as that goes. So you got to really decide what's going to be most important to you as far as cost goes. Now, one of the great things that they also did was, and we've never been able to do this before, is actually add more iCloud storage than ever before. At the very top end, before, the maximum you could get would be 2 terabytes of space. Well, now what you can do is you can add another 2 terabytes of space, bringing you up to 4 terabytes of space for another additional $9.99 a month. So for those of you who love to have lots of extra storage and being able to store a lot of your files and backing things up, you now have the option of being able to add up to 2 terabytes of additional storage to be able to store all your photos. And photos is the biggest thing I think people do as far as when they do backups. You also could add the other plans if you needed to have a little bit extra beyond the 2 terabytes. And now, again, this is only for the Premier plan. As far as what this is kind of breaking down what it's going to add to the additional service. You could add additional iCloud storage to the other 2 plans as well, but you would have to add those accordingly as far as that goes, but you have to be locked in those 2 plans. So, like, let's say in the individual plan, you get 50 gigabytes of storage. You could add an additional 200 if you want, or you could add an additional 2 terabyte if you want. And then going down the line, so the family plan starts at 200 gigabytes. You could add the additional 2 terabytes. So you couldn't get the 4 terabytes maximum unless you were in the Premier bundle. So it does give you a little bit of more flexibility when it comes to the bundling of iCloud. So how do you subscribe? Well, here's an actual screenshot of a iPhone that actually will show you how to actually go through and subscribe to it. I'm actually going to go through and I'm going to do it live for you here. I'm going to actually share my my phone here with you, and I'll actually show you how you actually go through and subscribe here. Let me share my phone here real quick. Give me a moment as it thinks. There she is. Okay, so the way you do this is, and everybody should be able to see my cursor, you go into settings here, and then what you're going to do is you're going to go into your name right here, which is right here, and you click that, and then you go down here and you go to subscriptions. And right now here, this phone here, I don't have anything on it, so I'm able to, and I didn't subscribe to Apple One purposely on this phone so I could actually show you this. So now what you could do is you see Get Apple One. You can click it right here, and that's going to bring up that same menu I just showed you on my slide here. Now, these are the different services that are available as we just talked about. And all you basically do is you choose one of these 3 services, and you go ahead and pick the one that you want. So let's say I want the Premier plan. Then it breaks down what it's going to do. Now, one of the great things is these plans, you get a 1-month free trial. So you actually can try all these out and be able to try them. And if you don't like the bundle for some reason, you can cancel the trial after 30 days, and then you owe nothing. But you also got to take into account, many of us already have services existing right now. One of them would be probably the most popular one would be iCloud. Now, if you have an iCloud plan right now, what it'll do is it'll upgrade your iCloud plan from whatever plan you had before to the plan that is included in this bundle. So let's say you had the 200 gig plan and you decide to go to the Premier, then it's going to upgrade you to the 2 terabyte plan. Now, what also is going to happen is if you had been paying ahead, if you pay extra, anything that you had paid beforehand, Apple will credit you back. I can give you experience. I was doing the individual plan before for Apple Music. You pay $99 and you save a little bit of money by doing that, but it's only an individual plan. And what they did was they as soon as I went to the Apple bundle with Premier, they gave me credit back for all the costs that I had paid for my previous plan. So you are going to get credits back. So if you decide to do that and go from there when it comes to that. So. That is about it as far as the Apple bundles go. Did George or Davis, did we have any questions from anybody about the bundle?
Well, we actually have a few comments, Dave.
Okay.
Randy says that he wished that they had the Create Your Own bundle. And I definitely agree with him, and some other individuals that said the same thing about the Create Your Own bundle. I definitely have to agree with that. That would be nice.
If Randy wants to unmute, go ahead if he wants to give his opinion.
Basically, I currently subscribe to Apple Music, which I really like. That's $10. I subscribe to News Plus, which I really like, another $10, and then Apple TV, $5. So I'm paying $25 right now, If they could give me a discount on that, that'd be great, because I'm not interested in arcade. I don't play games.
Right.
The fitness thing is new. It's not going to work for me yet. So those are the only three I'm really interested in, I think, at this point. And, the Premiere is costing me more. Yeah, I get more, but I don't know that I want to pay, $30 and get some things I'm not probably going to use, The space that I also have, not, for $1, I have 50 gig of iCloud space for 99 cents. So.
Okay. So it sounds like you're going to be fine with what you have, and it wouldn't really make much difference to you is in your case. But they are giving some flexibility, and what Apple's really trying to do is try to entice others to get into some of the other services. Now, I've looked at arcade. Yeah, there's some fun and neat games, but again, can't do you justify that? But it's only that costs us $5. So you kind of have to go through and do the math and analyze what is really important to you when it comes to that. But it is a great value when it comes to the Premier plan, because of as much if you add up all of those services together. But if those other services aren't important to you, then yeah, it probably isn't going to be something that you want to go with. So
we do have another question from Dennis Murray.
Go ahead and have him unmute and ask his question.
Dennis, if you want to unmute.
If you can, otherwise we can read it. All right, go ahead and read it if he's not able to.
Does this have anything to do with iTunes Match?
Good question. I was wanting to see if anybody was going to ask that. So what is iTunes Match? iTunes Match has been around forever. Okay, so iTunes Match is a service that allows you to be able to upload all this music you already own, whether it be ripped CDs that you own or any other music, and you upload it to the iTunes Match server. And then what that does is it's out in the cloud for you, so it backs up all your music. So all the music that you own, that you created files for, it's backed up. It also, if you had lower quality sound versions, like if you had let's say a 128 kilobit or 192 kilobit, it'll allow you to download a copy of it at 256 kilobit. So that's what that service is. That service has been around for quite a while. It's still branded iTunes Match, and iTunes, Apple's been kind of going away from iTunes now that it's now branded Apple Music. So you kind of wonder, is the service still going to be around? But you don't necessarily need it if you're a subscriber to Apple Music, because Apple Music already includes the iTunes Match type of service. Now, am I a subscriber to it still? Yes. Am I a little nervous worrying about don't want to lose some of the music? Because there is some music that I have that may not necessarily be on the iTunes servers or the music servers, because it could be a song that they may not have rights to. So that in itself, I find that to be a value. For $25 a year, it's not that terribly expensive. So I've kept both all this time. So if you were to cancel iTunes Match, it shouldn't. Don't hold me to it. It shouldn't affect the any issue as far as the you're losing your music goes, because you have Apple Music. But if you were to cancel Apple Music, then yes, you could very well lose the music that's already uploaded to the servers. So I guess the answer to the question is, if you're not an Apple Music subscriber, then I'd stay with iTunes Match for sure. I mean, these bundles all include music, so the bundle may not be for you if that's the case.
Okay, thanks, Dave. I couldn't unmute at the time, so.
No problem. Did you have any other question? Is that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Thanks.
All right, great. Any other questions out there?
Davis has one.
Yeah, I had a couple points that I wanted to bring up. One
Please.
is, I think when you look at the Apple bundles, you have to look at what you're using currently. You know what I mean? And compare the prices. I mean, for me, I've been using 2 terabytes of cloud storage. So that was the service when I looked at everything else that I was looking at that pushed me over the edge and actually will be saving me money now with the Apple bundle. That's the first thing. Mm-hmm. Second thing, and I think this is really important, Dave, and maybe you can speak to this. Sure. When you sign up for the bundle, it utilizes the ID that you have associated with your iTunes Store account. That's really critical, because if you sign up for these services with different Apple IDs from a cloud basis, it will prompt you to either change that or clean up that sort of confusion, because that can affect. I ran into that problem personally, where I had one service on one ID and another service on another. We had to get all that aligned in order to take advantage of the bundle. So that's a really important part of the process.
Yeah, when I did it, it actually was pretty seamless for the most part, because it saw right away that I had 2 Apple IDs. So what I did was I said, oh, no, my purchase account is my Gmail account, and my iCloud account is my Mac.com account. So I have that set. So it's the purchasing account is linked to the package. So that allows both to work. So yes, man, well, thanks for bringing that up. That definitely is something. And it, as you see here, this is the bundle. This being in the bundle when you're in your iPhone, and you can do this from your iPhone or your iPad. So it's the easiest way to do it is being able to get to this to set yourself up. But yes, for sure, you want to make sure you assign it to the right Apple ID.
Okay, do we have any other questions? Because I think we've addressed everything that's been here.
Okay.
But just as you were saying about the different bundles, because that's just like me. I have the lowest tier of the iCloud, and I'm paying 99 cents a month. The only thing that I really wish they had the a la carte, because I want the fitness, but that's in the Premier. I'm going from $1 to 30. That's enough. With me, I'll just purchase the fitness on its own. So
sure. So like I said, it's buyer beware. This is not a bundle for everybody. That's for sure. All right. Any other questions on bundles? Okay. I got a few more minutes here, so I'm going to actually talk a little bit about, well, first off, I did pre-order. I have the iPhone 12 Pro Max on order. I've got the Pacific Blue, 256 gigabytes. I was up at 6:55 a.m. and got to my iPhone, had it all pre-approved and pre-ordered because I do the Apple upgrade program. So you were able to go in a few days before to set it up, so it had everything pre-approved for you with the bank and the arranging for the old phone to be shipped to you. And then at 7:04 a.m. I have a screenshot of it. I had it ordered and it's going to be shipped. I'll have it on a week from Friday, yesterday. So I will have it in my hands, and it'll be all ready for the iPhone SIG. So we're going to have a lot of fun talking about the camera is the biggest thing I think is really going to stand out on that as well. So I've got that, and I also pre-ordered the HomePod Mini. So I got a one. Since it is my birthday, I said, honey, this is a good birthday present. So because the iPhone's an automatic for me, so that's different. But so I went ahead and I got a HomePod Mini. So you'll definitely be able to hear about my experiences with both coming up very soon here with that. So, and then any other questions on that? Anybody have any thoughts about? Anybody gonna leave a question out for that?
And yes, even I ordered a HomePod Mini.
Well, there you go, because it's not expensive.
Right.
All right. So, and then also what I wanted to mention was the fact that the iOS 14.2 was released the other day, and I knew I was pretty confident to the fact that that it was going to get released, and I wanted to talk a little bit with the few minutes left I have of what some new things that have been added to iOS. For iOS 14.2. One of them notably is let me show you here real quick. You can go into the settings here, and you can go into where is it at here? Why am I missing it here? Control center, excuse me. And they've added one thing here, and I will bring up my mouse here. You guys can see that they have this right here. Music recognition. This was now added as a control center item in the control center. So now if I were to go and bring the control center up, I can now tap it, this of course is Shazam, because Shazam is now owned by Apple. So if I were to go and tap this, it runs in the background while you're navigating around. And if you're listening to any music in the room while it's happening, it'll automatically get the music for you without even having to go to the app and doing it, other than initiating it from there. So of course you saw it there, that pop up there at the top there. There was no result because we're not playing any music. So so that was one thing that they added. The other improvements they added too was in the home kit. If you have a HomePod, it's got some it has some updates here where you can use a single HomePod or a pair as the primary audio output for your Apple TV. I was just using that last night. That is so cool. So I have a TV off to my right here. So I have my two HomePods here that are in pair, and I was able to listen to the Apple TV. It sounded just brilliant, and I have a 4K Apple TV, so the sound was just phenomenal. And then they've added some more smart automations and other stuff as well. But one of the other things they did add is, and I don't know if it's going to show in here, but they did add the intercom system. So you're now going to be able to have an intercom between all of your iOS devices and the HomePod. So George, when you get your HomePod Mini, you're going to have to start seeing if that intercom works for you there. So
I'll have it talk to Alexa.
You're going to stay with Alexa, right? A couple other things I'll mention. The AirPods, the battery improvements that iOS 14.2 did add an update to optimize battery charging, which will help slow the aging of the battery, which is helpful as well. And a couple of things, they added the people detection accessibility feature. This is for those with low vision. I'm not going to have time to demonstrate that today. It's an accessibility feature in the magnifier app that uses the camera to let iPhone users know where other people are in relation to them, which is incredibly handy during times where people should be social distancing, if you think about it. So I'll demo that during the iPhone Sync next month. So the Apple Card, if you have the Apple Card, the credit card, the Apple Card, it does now have a spending history option, allows you to see a yearly spending history, which you didn't have that as well. As well as it's added some new wallpapers. I haven't even looked at that yet. I think about it. Let's go to wallpaper here and choose a new wallpaper. They had thought that this didn't update, which is very possible. There are going to be some more real life wallpapers that are going to be included. Looks like this phone didn't get updated, but and of course, you got to have the real exciting emojis whenever you're texting anybody here. So you can go like that and tap that so you can search. And if you want a plunger, they thought they had one here. Or is a boomerang. That's what I was going to do. So you got the boomerang, so you can add that, and all kinds of other emojis, because we know how excited we get about emojis all the time when we're sending text messages. So, but a lot of good enhancements in 14.2. Highly recommend downloading it. Of course, it's got a lot of good bug fixes. Keeps the iOS device stable. It's released for iPhone, for iPad. WatchOS 7.1 is also out. tvOS 14.2 is out. The HomePods will get updated to 14.2. So Apple had a free-for-all on OS, and then, of course, we're coming close to Big Sur. That's going to be coming up. I wouldn't be now surprised if that doesn't get announced next week. I've got a minute or two here. I can talk about the Apple event and my thoughts on that. The Apple event is going to be on this Tuesday, my birthday, on the November 10th, and it's going to more than likely they're going to announce new Apple Silicon processor Macs, which I know a lot of people are very excited about. So look forward to hearing about that. And I would not be at all surprised if Apple says, oh, by the way, another one more thing, Big Sur is going to be released. So we're going to definitely be doing some coverage and talking about Big Sur. I know Bob, I'm sure will be doing stuff in the future to talk about that. If not someone else, but we'll definitely have some coverage and talking about Big Sur and doing any updates with that. So with that, I hope you enjoyed the presentation and got some knowledge.
Excuse me for a second there,
yes.
Dave. We actually have a question from Tom Wicklund.
Okay, Tom, unmute your mic and ask your question, if you can.
Okay. Hi. Well, the question I had was, will the intercom system work from like a watch to a phone, or a phone to CarPlay, or a watch to Apple TV?
It works across all of devices that I'm aware of. CarPlay was demonstrated during the event when they announced it.
Right.
It does work on the watch. I've tried it, and it works on that, the iPhone and the iPad for sure. So yes, that should work.
It'll work without the HomePod? ? Yes,
it will.
Okay. Next question. What about AirTags and the next event?
Oh yes, I forgot to mention that. Yes, AirTags. I don't know. I mean, I have a pretty good feeling that this is the time it's going to come out because it is a one more thing. Unless they're going to keep it all focused on Macs, it's all very possible. I think AirTags is a good chance. They were also talking about potentially AirPods Studio, like headphones that they're potentially going to release as well. So it's definitely going to be something interesting to see what they do. But AirTags is very much a big possibility.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Hey, Dave. Question for you. Do you want to bring up anything about the Apple, the AirPods and the sound quality?
Oh yeah, I can bring that up real quick. Apple did open up a support program. So if you have AirPods Pro, that's only the Pros. That's the ones that I'm wearing here. There had been some complaints, and it's been very isolated. Not a lot of people have had the issue, but enough that Apple identified it to the fact that they would be getting crackling noises, and then it would fade in and out. So the sound was not great. So what you have to do is you have to go to, and we could post, Davis, maybe we should post that link in the community if you don't mind.
I'll get
it. What will happen is you contact Apple support, whether you do it over the phone or you actually see if you can get an appointment at the store. They have to actually test them, so that you have to either bring them in the store or you have to go to Apple authorized support center, and they will test them. And if they do see that there's an issue as you complain, they'll replace them. So you'll get a new set. So okay, all right, my time is up. Thank you for your attention. I hope you enjoyed what I presented. And any questions, make sure you go into the community.myscau.org. Ask lots of questions out there, because we got that there for a reason, just for you guys to be able to ask us questions and be able to interact with all of our members. So thank you.
Thank you, Dave. We always appreciate when Dave comes and gives us the latest in iOS and all the updates that Apple has. But I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to turn it back over to Dave so he can introduce our next speaker.
Yes. Just lost my screen here. Yes, we have a great guest today, Mr. Chuck Joyner. Chuck has been creating Apple content for many years, since 2000, and he's got the great website Mac Voices. He does it in both audio and video versions, and does one-on-one discussions. He's been doing things like Mac Voices Live on Facebook, which I've been very active with, and we've been having a lot of fun doing that. He's been a great supporter of Apple user groups for many, many years, including his 4 years as chairman of the Apple User Group Advisory Board. And he also provides us a Mug Center update. It's been long running for quite a long time, providing us information about who's talking about what at different Apple user groups. So we really appreciate everything. And he's a good friend. And so without further ado, I would like to present Chuck Joyner, and take it away, Chuck.
Thank you, David. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having me. It's excuse me. It's always a pleasure to talk to Mac user groups, and especially to this one. I've gotten to know David and George and Davis and some of the others through MacStock and some other functions, and so this is a lot of fun. So I'm going to set up my screen, and I should tell you folks, I'm going to experiment on you a little bit. This is the first time that I will have done this, so this is either going to go well or it's going to crash and burn. I'm not sure which. So let's see if we open that. Give it just a minute to do its voodoo.
Look at that.
And you should see me down in the bottom.
You do.
But my ego's a little bigger than that. And so you can actually see me. Bring this up. And we'll get started. So, as David said, oh yeah, that's the one other thing I got to tweak just a little over here. So, my name's Chuck Joyner. I do a podcast, as David said, called Mac Voices. I'm here today to help you spend money. But let's not think of it as spending money. Let's think of it as stimulating the economy. That just makes it easier to do and makes it feel like it's not quite as selfish. Seriously, David asked me to talk a little bit about some holiday gift ideas. And so we do on Mac Voices our holiday gift guide shows that are very, very popular. We've recorded one. We'll be recording another one next week. We do a number of them over the season. So some of the things here will be drawn from there. We could sit here for hours and go through, holiday gifts and everybody's favorites. I picked some of my favorites or the things that I think are most important, and I'll try to explain a little bit about each one as we go along. So let's go. This is one I recommend every year to folks, and that is buy for yourself or someone you care about their own domain name and therefore their own email address. That way they can shift providers, they can go anywhere they want, they can move everything around, and they don't lose anything. So for example, I will, until the day I die, I will be chuck@chuckjoyner.com. That is my email address. I've bought the email addresses for my girlfriend and for my sister, and it's kind of funny the reactions they get, for me too, when you go somewhere and they ask you for your email address and they discover you have your own domain. It leads to interesting conversations, but more importantly though, it gives me complete control over my identity. Now, you might think that this is really expensive, and it's not. Okay. If you try to go and get a .com name, first of all, yes, it's going to be probably expensive. And second, you're probably not going to get it because the .coms have been out there forever. But if you go to the .me's or the .music or .art or .whatever, because there are a whole lot more different domain names now, or domains, excuse me, available that you can attach yourself to. So if you are creative in some way, and that's something you'd like to have as your identity, but at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. It's still just as long as it's yours. The reason I have this slide up, I recommend Hover at hover.com as the place you should go. For several reasons. First of all, I've had an amazingly good luck with them, so much better than some of the hosts I've used in the past. Second, they're as inexpensive as you're going to get. But third, and most importantly, as you're going through this process of setting people up or setting yourself up, you can chat, you can do an online chat, but if you call them, you will get a human, a real live human. What a concept, to help walk you through and get you set up. And so I would tell you, go to hover.com, look for your email address that you want, or excuse me, look for the domain you want. Then when you buy the domain, you will get a chance to opt in for one of their email packages. They have a small one and a large one. Again, they're not that expensive, and they give you complete control. And if you're already using something like Gmail or whatever, you can arrange to have your email forwarded one direction or the other. So you can be answering things within the Gmail interface or just within the mail interface and from your Gmail. So a lot of different tricks that are way beyond the scope of this discussion. But I tell you, and one added bonus for you, if you gift this is a gift then that obviously has to be renewed every year. So you're automatically covered for the gift for next year and really in perpetuity, as long as you want to give it. So get a domain name for someone, for yourself or someone you love. They will thank you for it. Believe me, over and over.
Chuck, I don't mean to interrupt you. I have had a few people saying they aren't able to see you, see the presentation. So
they aren't able to see me. Okay, I'm
Zach,
sorry, guys.
If you have the grid view set up, Chuck, if the person watching you has grid view set up, you disappear. So they have to go up to the top right and change the view to full screen on just you, and then you both show up. So just an FYI.
Thank you, David. I wasn't sure if it was a show on his end. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's I'm seeing myself, which is a little scary.
I'm seeing you. I see you.
Okay, yeah. So thank you for that. I told you this was a little bit of an experiment. So there's one we didn't know about. Thank you. Okay, so to go, everybody needs a good speaker, a good Bluetooth speaker. And I want to recommend to you the JBL Flip 5 for a number of reasons. First of all, it sounds great, okay? Can you get better sounding speakers? Yes, but inevitably they are larger and a whole lot more expensive. And I want something that I can carry around. And in fact, I have a couple other Bluetooth speakers that are larger. And honestly, I keep reaching back for the Flip because it's so convenient. It sounds good. It's not real easy to see in this particular screenshot, but it has a little place to attach a lanyard so you can hang it. It is waterproof, and the whole thing is kind of rubberized is the best way to try to explain it, so that it's pretty rugged. Now they show it here with a case, which is nice for traveling because even though it is rugged, I don't want it to be dented or beaten in. So if I were traveling with it, I would keep it in the case. This is my Bluetooth speaker of choice. JBL, if anybody knows sound, JBL knows sound. And I have several of these, an embarrassing number, actually 2 of which are hanging in my shower. That because of the waterproof, and it's a great place to listen to whatever you want to listen to. So Bluetooth speaker and the JBL Flip 5. If you want something bigger or have a need for something that maybe fills the room a little more, there are plenty of other JBL models, but I like this one. I mean, I feel if I have to go out and do yard work, I think the neighbors should be able to hear what kind of music I'm listening to, and this will do it. They don't always agree with that, but this will do it. Okay, so some of the recommendations, unfortunately, here are based on all of our experiences with COVID-19 this year. Was sort of an unexpected thing, but hey, we're dealing with it. And something I have found amazingly, just absolutely invaluable, is to have that extra monitor or 2. Right now, my work setup, in fact, I've modified it so that the few times I do go in the office, but always at home, I basically have 3 monitors. I have my MacBook Pro and I have 2 external monitors. And you can't believe how much this improves your productivity. So I would tell you to, look at that hard. You might have to add a dock to do it. You might be able to do it just from the Macs that you're using. But trying to pick up those monitors, you can go cheap, you can go expensive. So there are a couple things to consider. First thing is this is the HP monitor. This is the one I would recommend if you want your basic 1920 by 1080 monitor. It's super high quality. It looks really good, and you may not necessarily need all of that other screen space. If you do need that screen space, then the next pick is the Dell Ultra Sharp, and I'm not even going to try to read that, but the U series, 27-inch 4K UHD. This monitor would be suitable for just your main monitor, but if you were to pick up 1 or 2 of these, you greatly expand the space that you have, your working space. And again, I can't express to you how it's changed the way I work, because I can put one thing on one screen, one thing in another, and then something on my laptop screen, and I've got all that screen real estate. And of course, my laptop screen is basically a 4K as well. So I've got a ridiculous amount of space. It's long been my contention that we would never be able to go paperless until our monitors became the size of our desks. And this kind of is that concept in practice. So these 2 monitors, I would strongly encourage you to look at either one, depending on your budget, and add to your workspace if you spend a lot of time in front of monitors. A couple things I should have said here before, and I apologize for doing this now. You don't need to take notes. I have a link at the end that I'll send you that will give you the links to all these products, straight to the ones that we specifically talk about. So don't worry about that. Okay, so I also want to say that these are recommendations. All right, you may not want to jump in with this much money for monitors. So, you can go down to the local Best Buy, if your Best Buy is still open, if you can get in, take a look at something, buy a cheap one, buy a cheap one and set up a second monitor, learn how it enhances your workflow. And then you still would have that monitor as an option, but you might want to buy then yet another one as a much better third monitor. So these are just 2 recommendations. A lot of great monitors out there, but these are the ones that I have either spent money on or would spend money on if I were in the market for them. I saw somebody sent me privately, asking how I'm doing the Zoom thing. It's a beta in Zoom that lets me do this, and I wanted to try it out. So you guys are the victims.
Oh, it's all working good so far. Don't worry.
Good, well, except for, but the gallery thing was a good tip, so I appreciate knowing that.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to COVID. Unfortunately, we're all spending more and more time on audio calls, audio conferences, Zoom, Skype, Teams, whatever. Sorry, David, that was just for you. That was just for you.
I know.
You need a good microphone. Okay. The people that are just relying on their computer mics or their phone mics or whatever, even worse when they call in and they're, then they sound like they're on an AM radio. I'm going to tell you to invest in a decent microphone for those kind of calls. Now, I'm quick to tell you that microphone prices have gone up because of the demand. And so, you may be paying a little more than you might have pre-COVID, or you might a couple of years from now. But at the end of the day, you need it now, go get it. So the first recommendation, I'm going to give you two. The first one is this. This is the Blue Yeti mic. This is the blackout edition, but the Blue Yeti mics really sound good and they are very versatile. First of all, the biggest thing here is this is a USB mic. So you plug it into a USB port. That's all you do. You don't have drivers. You don't have adjustments. You don't have anything. It just shows up in your control panel and it works. It also lets you set the mic pattern so that, for example, if you were in a room where you had a number of people that you wanted to participate, you change it from one pattern to another. Or if you have it right like my setup is, it would be just maybe primarily accepting sound straight from you directly. It is dead simple to use. It has a volume control. And it also has an earphone jack where you can listen through the microphone to whoever's talking to you. So this thing has so many features. If it has a downside, it's the size of it. It is a little bit large to put on your desk. So it might be something that you're very comfortable with, or you might want to invest. And when we take the screen off, I can show you mine, but you may want to invest in a boom arm for it. So that's what I have behind me. The workstation over there is where I spend my days at the office, if you will. And that just clamps onto your desk, but you swing the mic out of the way when you don't need it. And when you do want it, you pull it right back. Now, if the Blue Yeti is a little big, there is the Yeti Nano. I'm quick to tell you, I do not own this. I have not tried this, but I have an amazing amount of confidence in the people at Blue because they make such good microphones that if you wanted something that was a little smaller and maybe took up a little less room, I'm pretty confident in recommending this, but I can't do so from personal experience. But look around, again, there are a lot of great microphones. Almost any microphone you get is going to be better than what you have with the computer. You're going to be able to eliminate some room noise and you're going to sound more professional and look more professional, definitely. Okay, so I'm just AM radio. I'm just checking the chat here.
We can add. I'll ask the questions for you if you'd like, so you don't get distracted.
Okay, that's fine. That's no problem. Says I'm out of sync just a little bit. Yeah, that seems to be something that happens with Zoom part of the time, and I don't think it's. It could be part of the beta, but I don't think so. And we can talk about why I don't think so later. But that's a whole nother set of discussions. So next, we have the new gallium arsenide chargers that are coming on the market. This is the one from Aukey. This is a 100-watt charger. So, and the reason I picked this one is this is a no compromises charger. You can get cheaper ones with the same technology, but if you have a 16-inch MacBook or an iPad Pro, you want these big ones. It will down cycle to charge whatever device you have appropriately, but I don't want to be saying, oh, gee, I have to make a choice between which am I going to charge fast or am I going to be able to charge something fast. So for $50, this is a no-brainer. It is so small. It's smaller than the power bricks you're using now, and it also comes with the detachable cables. So and it also has flip down prongs. I should mention that too. That's pretty important if you're throwing this in a backpack. Aukey is one of those companies that does, I think, some great work. You never see them advertised anywhere, but You always see them come up in gift guides or hardware recommendation shows. And so I can confidently recommend this one. This is a really, really nice charger, excuse me. Okay, so I know this is one of David's favorites, and it's one of mine too. Everybody needs an external hard drive. Okay, there are lots of reasons to have an external hard drive. If you need to expand the storage of your Mac or MacBook Pro or MacBook Air or whatever, this is an easy way to do it. Second reason is that it's a great way to run a backup, and have a bootable backup. And that too is a whole nother topic that you guys can talk about sometime. But to have a bootable backup, you obviously have to have an external hard drive. So you want something fast, and this is a very fast. They're faster, but they're also more expensive. Little hard drive. Third, if you this is sort of along the lines of the bootable backup. If let's say you want to try Big Sur, but you really don't want to install it on your main machine. Okay, so you can install Big Sur on this drive, and you can then run the boot from it, and use it as if it were your boot drive. And now you get to test out Big Sur, find out what breaks, what doesn't. What I've done, and just recently, is I took my main MacBook Pro, I cloned it over to this, then I updated it to Big Sur on the external, not my internal, but on the external, and was able to play with it a little bit. And so that gives you a sense of security and safety and all that, because you're not messing with your main productivity environment, but you can get a feel for it. And there have also been some discussions, and you guys have probably had them too, about older Macs that might be the hybrid drives or internal spinning drives. And especially iMacs, they're a bear to tear apart, and nobody wants to do it. And if you have somebody do it for you, it gets expensive. If you have especially a USB 3.0 or Thunderbolt Mac, you can get one of these external hard drives, set it as your boot drive, and forget it. Just let it sit there and be your boot drive. And now you've got all the benefits of the SSD technology without the hassle or expense of cracking open your iMac. Here again, there are a number of great drives out there. This particular one is from SanDisk. This one is so small, it's kind of hard to believe. It's ruggedized, and so I've got a couple of these. I know David, I think, he's got a handful, like he's playing cards with them.
2 or 3.
But yeah, sure. That's what you tell your wife. But this is a great option. They're great options from Western Digital. They're great options from all the names that you know. But I can't stress enough that get an external hard drive. You will be amazed at how versatile a piece of equipment it is. Okay, so I have to start to recommend just a couple Apple products. And I think the Apple Watch has to be my number one recommendation. And that might surprise some people because it's not an inexpensive gift. And it's not a gift that I think is probably first on everyone's minds. But there are 3 primary reasons that I think you should do this. The first one is health. This is quickly turning into a nice little health device, whether you look at it from an exercise standpoint, a heart monitoring standpoint, or any of the other aspects of it that relate to health. This is something that once you start to wear it, it integrates that health consciousness thing into your thinking almost automatically, not obnoxiously. The stand notifications, I mean, everybody makes fun of the stand notifications. Guess what? They work. Because when my watch tells me to stand, it's like, yeah, I've been sitting for a while. And then you get up and you're a little stiff and you realize just how long you have been sitting. It's a little thing, but it can make a big, big difference. The second thing is safety. Looking around the room, some of you were probably in my same class at school. And we have to admit that we're getting to an age that, some of us have problems. We also are probably caring for older parents or loved ones that have some of those same problems. And I can't think of anything better to get those folks than an Apple Watch. For the fall detection, again, for the health aspects of it, for the communication which is sort of the third reason that if I fall down the cellar steps, I have a way to summon help, whether it's through just the automatic monitoring of me falling, or whether it's me being able to make a phone call through my watch. It kind of doesn't make sense. And people say, oh, Apple Watch, expensive. Yeah, well, have you gone and checked out what your health care premiums are? Have you looked at what the doctor charges you? Have you looked at what your prescription costs are? This is cheap insurance against some of those things. And I can tell you, I've had a couple friends who have had those situations with elder parents, and the watch has made a big difference. So, and then of course, let's not forget apps and all the functionality of the Apple Watch that we as geeks would absolutely appreciate and love. So if you want to get somebody a big gift this year, an Apple Watch is the way to do it. I've made sure I've equipped everybody in my immediate family with an Apple Watch just for those reasons. And again, if it sounds a little exotic, I don't think so when you compare it to some others. I just saw in chat that, yeah, sorry, David, I'm cheating. I'm looking at the chat, but this was sent.
No, I'm just trying to keep you focused if you want,
Yeah.
so you don't get distracted.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
but well,
Go ahead.
this means a lot, because this just verifies that someone there, and I'm not going to, it's up to them to reveal themselves, said the Apple Watch notified me of my dad's fall down a set of stairs 2 states away. That says it all.
Yep.
If you can't find a better reason to buy an Apple Watch, that's it right there. Thank you for sharing that.
Also, Chuck, there are some insurance companies that are actually providing incentives to buy the Apple Watch too, so you can get discounts on your premium. You being in the insurance industry, is there anything good to that, or?
Yeah, David, that's dangerous territory, because I am in the insurance industry. The good news is I work in the P&C side, so I can speak with a bit more objectivity from the healthcare side. I think it's great, but a lot of those companies are requiring that you share that data with them, because they don't want to give you just a watch that you're just then going to hand off to your kid or something. So they're going to want to have access to how much walking you're doing, how much standing you're doing, the 3 rings thing, and everything else along with it.
Right.
If you're cool with sharing that information with your insurance company, great. To be honest, I'm not sure I am. And I'll go. Okay, this is your fault, David. I'm going to go off in a little direction.
That's okay.
But from a healthcare standpoint, and also from the telematics standpoint, there's little devices that your insurance companies want you to put in your car. Okay. They are great. They will save, they're most likely 99% of the times they will save you money, but the insurance company is receiving that information. Now, I'm not concerned about the insurance company having my information, which sounds kind of strange, but these are insurance companies. These are not tech companies. They are buying these services from someone, white labeled, and then selling them to you. The question I keep asking the insurance companies is, I know what your privacy policy is. What's the privacy policy of the people you're getting those services from? And I can't get answers. No one, they say, oh, it's a great question. I'll get back to you. And they never do. No matter how many times I follow up, they never do. So as a result, I'm just that much paranoid. And so I'm not giving up my information, because the amount of money that they are saving, those options save me, in my opinion, are not worth it to me. They very well might be to you. So I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying ask those questions and just be very, very aware. On the other hand, I pick up my phone, I take it, I put it in my car, and I drive. So the cell phone company is tracking me all the time in order to deliver service. If I'm on the highway, I put on Waze to see what the traffic situation is and where the police are. Guess what? Now I've just told Google where I am. So am I a privacy hypocrite? Absolutely. Absolutely. But in those situations, I'm giving information. I know what I'm giving, and I know who I'm giving it to, and the benefit I get back is worth it. That's the equation you have to solve for yourself. Sorry, but that's something that I really feel very strongly about. That
I'm glad you shared that.
Yeah, everyone needs to be educated as to this, to these things, and taught how to think about them, because we're now in a very privacy-minded, privacy invasion kind of age. So, let's get
Thank
back
you.
to the fun stuff. We can talk about that later. If you're in the market for a new Wi-Fi router, or if you're having trouble with your connectivity in your house, I can't recommend Eero enough. I'm running an Eero system here, and it took care of some hot spots. In fact, it extended my Wi-Fi well out into my yard and all around my house. And Eero is one of the few that has the HomeKit router capabilities that, if you're not familiar with them yet, that too is another subject that we could talk for an hour on. But basically, it provides your HomeKit devices yet another secure way to keep your information private. If you are interested in security cams in your home, then you definitely want to be looking at the HomeKit cameras, and you definitely therefore will need a HomeKit router to connect to them for that. I have a couple security cameras in my home, and I'm very, very careful with them. This would be a way that I might have to be just a little less careful. But at the end of the day, for me, it's all about the connectivity, and the Eero mesh system is great because I have the base station here in my office, and then I have the satellites plugged in to two different places on either end of the house, and I have seamless coverage the whole way across. It's not the cheapest thing out there, and it's not the newest, but it's one that I can heartily recommend that works exactly as advertised. All the setup is done on your iPhone, and at least for me, best of all, one of the best things about it is they push the updates out to me so that I never have to worry about it. If they implement a new security fix or a new feature, guess what? It's there just waiting for me. I don't have to, go around, restart the routers and jump through all those hoops. It's all done for me. And so the convenience factor is worth any extra money that I'm spending. Let's see. Okay. So you bought a new iPhone, right? You ordered one, you already have your iPhone 12 in hand, or you're like David and me, and we're waiting for our iPhone 12 Pro Maxes. You're going to need a tripod for your iPhone. Why do you need a tripod for your iPhone? We're hearing a whole lot about all the new photographic capabilities of your phone. And it doesn't matter how good and nice and steady your hand is, especially for the night mode shots and all, you're going to want to find a place to put your phone so that it can sit there and take sometimes just a couple seconds. If you want even better shots, you change the exposure, but it sits still longer. My hand is not, I think I have a pretty steady hand, and my hand is not steady enough to get those nice, super crisp shots. If you put an iPhone on a tripod and hit that button, you will get those amazingly crisp shots that you see in the advertisements and all. So you can do it. It's just that's the factor that is missing. You've got to have that rock solid. I like the Joby Gorilla Pods because unlike a normal tripod where you have to mess around with all three legs to try to get a level shot, this you can just bend those legs around so that your phone gets level automatically. Plus, you can wrap it around pipes, you can wrap it around small trees or limbs or branches. You can do some really amazing things with this if you get the Gorilla Pod. Now I'm quick to tell you there are a couple cheaper brands out there that sort of look like it. I've had those. They break if you stress them a little bit too much. The Jobys I have, they've never broken. They are rock solid. And again, a little more money, but throughout this presentation, you may get the impression. I personally believe that you get what you pay for. And so I don't mind buying and spending a little more money on something really, really good that will last, as opposed to something that might break the third, fourth, fifth time I use it. Let's see what else we got. Okay, so we're back to COVID again, and webcams and looking good on video calls and Zoom and all. There could a number of different ways to go about this. I think the floor should be what you have right now in the iMacs and MacBook Pros. The cameras are good. They're not great. Apple has drawn quite a bit of fire for not improving the cameras as we've gone along. And whatever happens on Tuesday with the alleged Apple Silicon Macs, that'll be one of the things I think is most interesting to see. Have they gone ahead and upgraded those cameras, or are they still at the bottom? If you just do the occasional video with, your parents or your grandkids or whatever, then you probably don't need to do this. But if you're spending hours every day on camera, you need to look good. So this is the current top of the line Logitech. And this one, I would tell you, the Logitechs make great cameras. They look good. They're pretty easy to plug in and just use as a camera. And I would tell you to spend some money. This is another class, though, of product that has seen some price jumps because of the amazing demand that there has been since COVID. So don't be surprised if some of these prices fluctuate a little bit. You may be able to find some deals over the holidays. Frankly, you may not be, because again, they're in demand. But this is a way to definitely go and take a look at, is the Logitech. But if you aren't into that, then you might want to look at Camo. Camo is an iPhone app that will turn your iPhone into a webcam. And you know how good the iPhone cameras are, no matter, you don't have to have one of the brand new ones. I've set this up with an iPhone 6 Plus, and it looks amazing because the camera is so much better. Now, the good news is here, you can download this today and try it right now and find out just how good it is for nothing, costs nothing. You will have a watermark in the bottom right corner, I think it is, and you will be limited to 720p as far as the resolution goes. And you will not have access to all of the software controls that Camo offers you. That's for the paid version. But you can get an idea of what it's like, how easy it is, and what a difference it makes in your video picture. If you buy the subscription version, you get access to a whole lot more. You get access to 1080p. I don't think it's out yet. They're working on 4K, which again would apply to all of us with iPhones, obviously. You have access to a lot of color controls and zoom controls in the software that you don't have with just the demo version. One caveat to this, so that nobody gets bit, this is like a $40 per year subscription. Now, I know some of you are going to freak out and say, subscription, oh my God, subscription bad, subscription bad. Well, not necessarily, because if you look back at the other, the Logitech camera, that was $100 right off the bat. And that's only 1080p. With this, your iPhone is going to be, you're going to be able to change iPhones. You're going to continue to get access to all the benefits of an iPhone. And the indications were, I don't think it's been out a year, but when I interviewed these guys, they said that, there would be a favorable subscription renewal price. So you may be able to pay a little bit less for the next year. But at the end of the day, you're going to get a top grade camera, which is your iPhone. I understand that some people are going to say, I don't want to use my iPhone. I want my iPhone in my hand, not as my camera. I get it. Okay, that's fine. So you might want to go out and buy a secondhand iPhone or an old iPhone, or take one of those that you handed down to somebody and get it back and use that as your camera. A lot of options here, but don't overlook this as a really nice option. And especially, even if it's just an intermittent option, before you can actually get your hands on a webcam that you're satisfied with, Camo is a great way to go. And I will state, download it, try it for free. You can use it. You could be using it now for this Zoom for free. And the only reason we would know it is because we might see that little watermark. How am I doing, David? Any questions or comments?
There was a couple from a couple of your past ones. One of them was about the power delivery on the Aki. And what does that mean or do? Because Dom asked that question.
The power delivery, as I understand it, is the adjusting aspect of it that I mentioned. That if it supports certain if your device that you plug into it supports certain protocols, and I think I'm right about this. If anybody knows, please feel free to correct me. But I think that's more on the Android side about some of the fast charging.
Yeah.
That it adjusts to whatever the device will accept.
Okay. And then what is the end of the shower that you hang your flip speaker on? That was question was asked.
What's the end of my
What end of the shower do you hang your flip speaker?
Okay, so I bought this house, and I have this is more than you guys need to know, but you ask. I've fallen in love with my shower because it's one of those cubicle showers. And so I have little plastic S hooks hanging up on the glass, and then hang the lanyard on those. And that way, if the shower's behind me, hitting me in the back, I'm looking at the speakers, and I've got two speakers here. Sorry, I've got two speakers here, and so I've got stereo effect, and I have them hanging from the glass. But you can also hang them from the shower head. Anywhere that you could hang something in a shower is, fine. Or just get one of those suction cup things and hang it from there.
Great.
Okay. Davis, I see you laughing. I just looked up and I see you laughing. So.
my inner 12-year-old was coming out, and I just, I'm not even going to go there. Just too much mixed company. But thank you again. TMI is great.
Yeah. Well, but you guys ask. So I'm not going to tell you. I'm not totally transparent, but I'll be pretty transparent.
That one also was a comment from Frank. The Eero also has DOCSIS 3.1 to accommodate the 1 gigabit the second internet download speeds. Is that the one that you picked? Includes that?
Yes. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Frank. Yes. Yeah.
Okay, great. And they also they just came out with the Wi-Fi 6 version, which I know is extremely expensive right now. In fact, our friend Dave Hamilton was reviewing it already, and looked like he was bringing in some pretty incredible speeds with that.
Yeah. If you're a router geek like Dave, go follow his stuff.
Yeah.
I'm fascinated. I can't imagine trying to change my Wi-Fi system every 10 minutes, just to test it out. But Dave seems to love that stuff. So he's a great resource. No question about it.
He's great. Sorry. Yeah. He's on the Mac Observer for anybody who doesn't know. And then you can also follow him on Twitter at Dave Hamilton if you want to find out more about him.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. So we have a couple more things to go through here. So we're back on the camera thing. So I actually have this sitting here. I don't know if it'll be masked out or not.
Yeah, it came up.
No, came up. Yeah. Okay. So this is a little HDMI. Now, kind of forget the fact that it says video capture cards, because I personally think that's misleading. Think of this as an adapter that goes from USB to HDMI. What this means is that if you have a camcorder, an old camcorder, as long as it has an HDMI out, that you can take it, put this in between the camcorder and the Mac, plug it in, and it will become a webcam for you. All right, now that's a camcorder. That can be a DSLR, a cheap DSLR. It can be something as small and simple as a GoPro. But any of those, again, are going to be so much better than the camera that you are using right now on your Mac. I'm not sure I would necessarily go with any of those routes as opposed to Camo or the Logitech. But at the end of the day, yeah, this can take something that you already have and adapt it as a webcam. And this is like $20. I think this particular one, there are a lot of them out there. The prices range from $13 to about $20. Again, this is the one that I bought. So this is the one I can recommend because it works. And it's kind of surprising how good something as simple as a GoPro. Because you are going to think about it. We're just talking about cameras. We talked about microphones. Your microphone is going to be separate from your camera. So this is just the camera part of it. And if you can do this, it's going to just greatly improve your appearance. Now, there's one big caveat with this, and this is something that I can't help you with. You're going to have to go and test it based on which device you have. And I was corrected the other day. Your device has to be able to output clean HDMI video. What does that mean? That means that all the little visual indicators on your camera or on your camcorder that you usually see in the viewfinder or on that view screen, they are not going out through the HDMI. Okay, so if you have a setting that takes everything off and just shows you just the image, it's going to be perfect because that's exactly what you want. If not, you could end up showing people, and it wouldn't be a tragedy, don't misunderstand, but the little control icons that might be across the bottom of the screen, or the framing rectangle that is in some DSLRs. Unfortunately, I have two DSLRs, which I will now be, I am selling because they do not output clean HDMI. They're fine as a camera, and that would never have been an issue if I'd just been using it as a camera. But because I wanted to use it as a webcam, they're useless to me. But the GoPro does. Actually, I'm using a Lumix now as my camera for this, and it outputs clean HDMI. And I'm using something similar to this. These just became, These just became popular during COVID. Up to now, up before that, you could spend $99 to $199 on them. And you can still get those brand names. And I don't want to put down anybody because, I've been using one for years and it works very well. But you don't need to spend that much money for this, and it doesn't greatly change the picture. And just the camera and that lens are going to be the big factors. So for $20, you can buy this thing and play with it all day and just start plugging in and seeing, what looks good, and use it for presentations, for home videos, for whatever. Okay, so you also need to be lit when you are doing video. Lit as in lighted. No comments. I'm waiting for Davis's inner 12-year-old to come out again. So to be fair, I am not using a Lume Cube here. I'm using, because I do a lot of this, I'm using a couple light panels. But the Lume Cube is it's a very small, only about that big device. It puts out an amazing amount of light. As you can see from the slide, there are a couple filters you can put on it. It has a screw mount that you can mount it on tripods or mount it on anything. So you could easily adapt this to put it on the top of your Mac or off to the side, put it anywhere. Now, there are cheaper options. In fact, there are a lot cheaper options. But I remember what I said. I like to buy things that are quality and are built to last. This is made of metal, so it's a tough little cube that is not going to be damaged easily by accidents or being thrown in my backpack or whatever. So I have one. I've used it for remote shooting more than in-house shooting, but I doubt that you're going to want to spend the money I spent on these two big light panels for your home. But if you get this, it is adjustable too, by the way. So it's not like, just on arc weld all the time. You can turn it up and turn it down. You can change the colors with the filter. A lot of different panels, a lot of different options out there. Go and look at these and give yourself just a little better lighting for your video calls. But the Lume Cube, if you want something that's very versatile and could be used for the home or elsewhere, this is a really, really good choice. Okay, David was talking about the HomePod Mini. Yes, I ordered one too. And frankly, I've said this a few places. I think this is the gift that is going to win Christmas, because at $99, where are you going to get a better, decent speaker? Now, I'm taking a little bit of that on faith because I don't have it in my hand yet. And will I be comparing it with the Flip 5 that I talked about earlier? Absolutely. But the Flip 5 is completely portable. I can take that anywhere with me. The HomePod is going to sit there and do its thing wherever I put it. Flip 5 does not have the S Lady, as we say, integrated. The HomePod does. So different speakers for different uses, and we'll talk about yet another set of speakers in a minute. But I really love this, and I love it because of the Apple ecosystem integration. I do have a couple HomePods, the full-size ones. I use them constantly to invoke Siri. Oops, I said her name. Sorry. To invoke the S Lady from pretty much anywhere on my first floor. The microphones are amazing. I'm very anxious to see what the Mini brings to the party. But for $99, and of course it can always be returned, I would say, why haven't you ordered one? The big question is, do you get it in the space gray or the white? And that seems to be a point of contention. Don't ask me why.
One of
got the
each.
Oh yeah. I got the space gray. David, what did you get?
Space gray.
Space gray. Yeah. My theory is that anything white gets dirty too quick. So George?
I said that makes all of us. I got the space gray also.
Okay. Yeah. We're just a bunch of dark people. Dark souls, I guess. I don't know.
Got some questions for you, Chuck.
Yes, by all means.
Ray, if you want to unmute your mic, go ahead and ask your question. Ray Wolfel?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
The tripod that you showed earlier, how does it attach to your iPhone? Is there an adapter or?
You will, I think that particular version of it, you can get them with them. You can also buy a very cheap iPhone adapter that basically are just a set of jaws. I think Dave and I talked about this. There's a device called a glyph that will expand out and has a screw mount that can attach onto that. Yeah, there he is. David's showing it. If you can see his picture.
My camera, that's the glyph.
Yeah. So okay. That is something that I probably should have, I did neglect to say, thank you for correcting me, that you will need to get something to attach the iPhone. I was referring more to the function of the tripod and the benefits of that particular iPod.
Great. Thank you.
Yes. Great question though.
Davis, if you want to unmute, go ahead and ask your question.
Yeah, Chuck, I meant to ask when you were talking about the Blue AVS, a lot of the cameras that I have that I could use that with have either like a nano or micro HDMI port. Have you tested it with those cords, and are you seeing any degradation of the picture quality if you have?
I have done a little bit of not testing but testing as in trying to get it up and running with different devices. And also I've used it with a USB A to C adapter, and no problems. Nothing. It just functions. It just does that conversion that is needed to be done. I mean, there are no settings on the thing. It's literally plug and play.
Okay.
Thanks.
So sure.
Frank, if you want to unmute your mic, go ahead and ask your question.
Okay. Chuck, I have Alexa already. How do they compare? Could I get both? Or, I mean, would it pay to be both? Or?
Boy, Frank, that's a tough question. So how do they compare? I think that the popular wisdom is that Alexa is a bit more versatile and a little bit better. Siri is definitely more secure of the two.
Right.
So the first question you have to ask yourself is, what are you doing or what are you saying in your home that you would not want someone else to hear? And if you're doing a lot of that, which with political season, it might be, you may want to avoid Alexa and go with Siri. If that doesn't bother you, then, Alexa is a fine choice. I have both in my home. In Alexa in limited fashion, but shoot, what was the other part of your question? I'm so sorry, I forgot. Should you have? You're comparing them. That's the other part. Yeah. Comparing them. So look at it this way, if you will. You can get one of the little hockey puck Alexa devices for $20-$30, and probably less over the holiday season. Apple doesn't play that game. So I think that Amazon has done a great job of trying to make Alexa about as ubiquitous as it could. I think it beat out Google in a big way, in my humble opinion. And I'm, as weird as this might sound to you, I'm more comfortable in order. I'm comfortable with Apple hearing what I say. Next down would be Amazon, and at the bottom would be Google. I'm really not anxious to give Google a microphone in my home because I don't know what they're doing. I know what Amazon's doing. Amazon just wants to sell me stuff. Now, whether they're doing anything else with the information, I don't know. Apple just wants to improve the experience. They do not make their money off of advertising or selling my information. Mm-hmm. So, trying to make those decisions. The one other comment I will make about Alexa, and feel free, anybody, to disagree with me, they do a great job of saying, we're coming up with all these new skills, is what they call them. So if you ask the A lady to, play a song. She'll play a song. If they ask to tell a joke, she'll tell you a joke. In my opinion, from the way I want to use these things, 99.9% of these skills are totally useless and frivolous.
Yeah.
And they're there just to say, hey, we can tell you what the what the air pressure is in Death Valley. Well, I don't care. That's fine, but good. So check that off. You can do it. I don't care. Let me control my lights. Let me control what I want to control, or do what I want to do, are the important things about it. Does that help?
Perfectly. Excellent. Thank you very much, Chuck.
More than welcome. More than welcome. I hope so.
Okay, I think we have one other question.
Yeah.
Elda, if you want to unmute your mic, you can ask your question as well.
Hi, I'm just wondering if the Apple Home devices work with smart light bulbs or sockets. I use my Amazon Echo to control, light schedule and stuff like that.
Right. A qualified yes, Elda. And I say qualified because obviously the lights you have picked or the devices you have picked have to be HomeKit compatible. So as long as they're HomeKit compatible, you shouldn't see any difference. Excuse me.
Okay, so I have I use a app called Casa that somehow communicates between the light bulb and the Echo. So I just would have to check on those, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, if you're using, for example, the Philips Hue bulbs, yes. absolutely, totally compatible, no problem. If you're using some of these second rate or off-brand controllable lights, you want to check and make sure.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, and sort of also as a caveat, if you don't mind going through just a little extra work, you can have both the A-Lady, the Amazon device, and Siri control the same lights. You just have to invoke them differently. So to turn on my bedroom lights, I might say, S-Lady, turn on bedroom lights, or I might say, A-Lady, turn on bedroom lights. Same thing happens. So you don't have, it's not an either or, you can do both.
Okay.
It just means you have to set them up twice.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Chuck, I just want to bring up that you have about 3 minutes. I'm not sure about how much more you have to do.
Okay, I'm going to make this, then I'm going to run quick. So
we can go a few minutes over it, so it's okay.
Okay, well, David, you guys were talking about the Apple bundles, Apple Music, especially if you have a HomePod or HomePod Mini, no question about it. Brain dead simple, because I can tell Siri to what I want her to play, and she plays it through those devices. Just subscribe. Don't mess with it. If you have an iPad, you need an iPad keyboard, in my opinion, to have it be really productive. Go and look at the Bridge keyboards, BRYDGE, the Bridge keyboards. They are available for pretty much every iPad that has ever been out. I put this one up just as a sample. Make sure that the Bridge keyboard you get is the one for your iPad. It communicates via Bluetooth, and it changes your device. It changed my iPad Mini, my iPad Mini.
iPod on your mind.
Yeah, really. My iPad Mini into a productivity device, and whereas before it had just been a consumption device. And these are great high quality keyboards. They look great. They attach easily to your device. Go get them. I am running. Why are you not subscribed to Amazon Prime? Okay. If you order stuff, then you get the free shipping, the free second-day shipping, which is invaluable. You get a ridiculous amount of video content. The music service, unless you pay for the extra service, not so good. But there are so many benefits to Amazon Prime that I would tell you, please think about this for you or for someone else, or share a subscription. But I know I probably save a couple $100 at least every year in shipping, because there's no hesitancy about, I need something, instead of going somewhere to try to find it. Amazon has it, click, and it's here. And a lot of times now it's here the next day with all the new delivery services. So this is a service you really should be looking at. And yes, they'll try to sell you more stuff, but what are you going to do? When we take this down, you'll see my audio engines. These are my favorite non-Apple speakers. Yes, are they expensive? Absolutely. They sound phenomenal. These are what I use to mix and master Mac Voices shows, as well as listen to music during my workday. So I can't recommend these enough. These have the auxiliary inputs that you can plug into. They are Bluetooth as well. They are just a phenomenal set of great sounding pair of speakers. Yes, I'm rushing.
No.
Okay.
Take your time.
Okay. The next two things, these are really important in COVID times and for other reasons. You don't need another external hard drive, except for the little ones we talked about for use with booting. To do long-term storage, you need a hard drive array, because first of all, it makes a lot of storage relatively cheap, comparatively cheap. But second of all, if one drive goes bad, then you don't lose anything, because the other drives pick up the slack until you can replace the bad drive. Two options here: the Drobo, and I'm picking a network attached storage version of it, because that means you can use it with any Macs, that connect. If it can connect to Wi-Fi, this can become a storage device for you. I've personally loved Drobos. I have an embarrassing number of Drobos sitting around here. And I can tell you categorically, I have never lost a single piece of information that was stored on a Drobo. And I can't say that about any other device. So expensive, yeah, a little bit, no question, but worth it for the peace of mind. And if you're not familiar with how Drobos work, as I said, you load this up with 5 drives. You can mix or match drives as far as sizes go. You get just this big pool of storage. And if one drive goes bad, the light starts to blink red. You pull it out, pop in another, and keep on going, and you haven't lost anything. The second option is one that probably everyone's heard of at this point, is the Synology. Synologies, in my opinion, they're not quite as convenient. They are a bit geekier, but they're also a whole lot more flexibility. So if you want to play with things like having your own personal iCloud storage, or your own cloud storage, or media servers, or a million different things, you probably want to look at the Synology. Again, not necessarily inexpensive, but you are protected if one of those drives goes bad. Because right now, if unless you're backed up, if one of your if the internal drive on your Mac goes bad, or the external drive that you're using to store all your photos goes bad, you're done. They're gone. I mean, it's irreversible. With these, you get a grace period while you get a chance to recover from the failure. That's it. I think I hit it within 1 minute. That is the website where I have all the links up to everything we talked about today, the specific slides that you saw, so that you can go forth and buy as you see fit. There are a million other things. I would definitely invite you to listen to the holiday gift guide shows as we go forward, because not only will you get some other great ideas, you'll have a lot of fun too. Thank you so much for having me. And one last thing, I want to say congratulations to your user group leadership and all of you for continuing to keep your user group alive during these challenging times. We were talking about it before the show, or before the meeting. There's so many groups that have just folded, or even after this many months, still have things up on their website. We're not doing anything until COVID finishes or is over. Well, I'm not sure when that's ever going to be. So you guys have kept it going. Congratulations. Good job. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Chuck. I really appreciate that. And I hope everybody enjoyed it. George, if you want to take us out, I've had some good comments here, George, as well.
Okay. Thank you, Dave. And thank you very much, Chuck. We do appreciate everything that you have brought to our attention. And of course, we're going to get out our wallets, our purses and everything, and start going cha-ching, cha-ching to all the different companies, because there's definitely some things, and everybody's going to get a little HomePod mini, I'm sure. Okay. Just want to let everybody know that there will be a survey coming out. Please fill out the survey, because of course we want your feedback, because your feedback helps us grow and brings you the content that you want to see and hear. Also upcoming, we have our photo SIG on November the 18th. And we also have our next regular Zoomcast or meeting on the 21st. Our next iOS SIG will be on December the 8th. Okay. And don't forget, everyone, upcoming, as I stated, is Veterans Day coming up. So honor all those active duty and veterans. And it's also Military Appreciation Month. So honor all the military Family Appreciation Month. So with that, I'm George Brooks, and we say goodbye and